So with the Xbox showcase just mere weeks away, I thought let's take an early look at all the exclusives coming to Xbox and Xbox Game Pass and Windows PC, and these games are coming this year and beyond. I'm Sonny, your host here at Xbox Central, and we're going to kick this off with Avowed. Now this looks like it's going to be an epic RPG title that lets you play as a fierce warrior from the S.T.A.L.K.E.R Empire, and you're sent to figure out what's behind a mysterious plague that's taking over the living lands. Now Avowed was actually announced all the way back in 2020, and technically we still don't know a lot about this game except for the fact that it looks gorgeous, it offers action-packed combat that combines melee, magic, and even guns, and it's a massive world full of lore and quest. This is set to drop by the end of the year, and it will be available on Game Pass as a day one title. So S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 Heart of Chernobyl is yet another highly anticipated title that I've been following for a long time. It's actually been delayed a couple times, but we should finally see it this year. This is a dark FPS horror game that throws you right into the creepy, dangerous world of the Chernobyl exclusion zone, and you play as this lone scavenger on a hunt for any valuable items, weapons, or high-end technology. But getting your hands on these items requires surviving in a post-apocalyptic landscape that is filled to the brim with mutants and weird anomalies and other hostile stalkers. The game offers a non-linear story in a vast open world that you can explore in a variety of different ways depending on the choices that you make. S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 does have a release date, and it arrives on Xbox and PC on September 5th. Now if you guys are enjoying this video, consider subscribing, as the more of you that subscribe, it actually helps the channel grow and lets me make more videos for you guys. Also, thumbs up if you enjoy the video. Alright, so we have Fable, or what some might consider Fable 4, and this is the latest installment and reboot to the long-running Fable series, and we've already seen a few trailers, and it hints to a vast and gorgeous world full of magic, fantastical creatures, and a wondrous place. While there's still a lot to learn about this game, we can expect exciting exploration, action-packed combat, and a compelling storyline with deep character development. We still don't have a fixed release date for this game, but we might get one at the next Xbox showcase, so we'll all be paying attention to that. So Dungeons of Hinterberg is a gorgeous looking action-adventure RPG that puts you in the shoes of Louisa. This is a law trainee who decides to leave her job and escape to the beautiful landscapes of Austria, and the game offers a really fun mix of exploration, puzzles, magic, and combat, and you can do a ton of awesome things like snowboarding down these massive glaciers, or ziplining through forests, or exploring dungeons filled with all kinds of monsters. And speaking of monsters, the game really shines when it comes to fighting these nasty beasts using your sword and crazy magic abilities. If you guys love games like Zelda where you get to explore, fight, and solve puzzles, you're gonna love Dungeons of Hinterberg, as this does drop exclusively for Xbox and PC on July 18th. So we've been paying attention to Indiana Jones and the Great Circle since like 2021, but we only got our first look at gameplay in a recent developer direct, and it revealed quite a few things, including the release window. Now the Great Circle lets you jump into Indy's shoes, and he takes on a brand new adventure with an entirely original story that's never been told. You will be solving intricate puzzles, engaging in some intense combat, exploring mysterious dungeons, and even meeting familiar characters from the Indiana Jones movies. It looks like it's going to be a great adventure for us Xbox fans, as it drops later this year exclusively for Xbox. So Aura History Untold is an upcoming grand strategy game that puts you in charge of leading a nation through different generations, eras, and political landscapes, and you will explore new lands, meet with the leaders of other nations, build infrastructure, develop technologies, raise an army, and even go to war with hostile neighbors. If you guys are into strategy games, you're gonna love this combination of like classic strategy mechanics with Aura's unique gameplay elements. This one does come out for fall of 2024. The game Towerborne is an action-packed brawler that puts you in the shoes of Ace. This is a warrior fighting to protect the people of Belfry from monsters lurking right outside the city walls. But you guys are not alone in this epic quest. You can tag along with 3 other friends in a cooperative way to take on these wild creatures with your diverse range of skills, abilities, and weapons. It's a gorgeous looking game that's coming exclusively to Xbox sometime this year. So Dead Static Drive is one of the more innovative indie games that's been getting a lot of attention. This game mixes driving and horror survival to create a unique gameplay experience where you play as this young guy trying to find his family and friends while exploring creepy looking towns overrun by mutated monsters and strange creatures. Speaking of friends, Dead Static Drive encourages you to befriend people whom you can trust, as it helps you get the job done faster and take on more challenging monsters, and of course survive a little bit while longer while you're in this brutal post-apocalyptic world. Dead Static Drive comes out soon in the third quarter of 2024. And yet another promising, but I have to say insane looking indie game coming is Replaced. This is a great looking 2D adventure game that lets you play as an AI trapped inside a human body, and your goal is to survive in a chaotic society that's gone crazy after a nuclear disaster in an alternate 1980s America. But what really excites me about Replaced is its epic cinematic action and smooth combat. It's got a style and gameplay that you don't see in many other platformers. Plus, the game dives deep into some themes like greed, corruption, and what it means to be human in a world controlled by AI, which at the rate we're going, that's going to be our future. I think this is going to be a great addition to the Xbox exclusives, and it comes out later this year. Now, 33 Immortals is an upcoming action roguelike that lets you play as a damned soul who is not happy about God's final judgment, and that person decides to rebel. You are then joined by 32 other souls in this epic uprising, and together you will join forces to battle hordes of monsters and take on powerful bosses and even face the wrath of God. It looks like it's going to be a great co-op game that's all about working together as a team to ensure your survival, and thanks to its roguelike elements, every run through in this game will be different, offering tons of replayability. Now, there's no release date for this one, but it is expected to drop sometime this year. So the game's Sopa. Now, this is an emotional narrative adventure that puts you in the shoes of a young boy named Mijo, who gets pulled into a fantastical land while trying to grab a potato for his granny's soup, and now he must explore this new world and meet a cast of colorful characters and outsmart thieves and climb mountains and do a whole lot more before he can find his way back to the kitchen. Sopa isn't really about the challenge though, it's more about experiencing relatable stories and just sharing moments with your family. Sopa is set to drop as an exclusive on Xbox on the third quarter of this 2024. Now, Age of Mythology Retold is yet another promising strategy game that takes the fan favorite gameplay of Age of Empires and gives it a modern touch. In this Retold version, you build your army and manage your own civilization by gathering resources, constructing buildings, training those armies, and engaging in warfare with other civilizations. It retains the classic RTS gameplay that fans love while bumping up the visuals, the controls, the animations, and even the soundtrack. Plus, there will be a bunch of new content coming to the game, keeping it really fresh and exciting for both new and old players. This one's going to be dropping later this year, but we have no release date just yet. Now, it's been a while since we heard anything about the Perfect Dark reboot. It was announced back in 2020 as this new secret agent thriller set in a near future world. According to what we've learned about the game so far, it's going to be a first-person shooter with non-traditional spy fighting and possibly some parkour elements, but of course it's not coming out anytime soon, it doesn't look like, and sadly we just don't have a ton of info on this yet, but of course we'll keep an eye out. Now, Project Mara is one of the more mysterious games set to come out exclusively for Xbox. We don't know a lot about this game except for the fact that it's coming from Ninja Theory, the awesome devs behind Hellblade 2. According to them, Project Mara is going to be a real-world and grounded representation of mental terror, and we can already tell by looking at the short trailer, it gives us like a tour of this incredibly rich and realistic setting, and if the Hellblade series is anything to go by, we can expect maybe another psychological thriller that's more grounded in reality. Now, another Xbox exclusive that I'm really excited to get my hands on is Outer Worlds 2. The first game really did a great job at keeping you hooked to your screens to the very end, and I know for me, I played it years later after release, and I just couldn't believe how underrated the first game was, but this sequel promises to keep that momentum going with a brand new star system, new characters, new quests, and of course a similar choice-driven gameplay. We still don't have a release date for this one, but it's going to be a great one when it does drop as an Xbox exclusive. Hopefully we get to hear about it very soon. So I know we've all been waiting to hear about Elder Scrolls 6, and we have some good news and bad news. The not so good news is that the game is not coming anytime soon, which shouldn't shock anyone because Bethesda takes forever. The earliest we can expect to see the game is likely in 2026. The good news though is that Bethesda did reveal that they've been testing out the early builds of Elder Scrolls 6 for a few months now, and while we all love to see this game come out anytime soon, we also of course shouldn't rush things with Bethesda, as you know, we don't want them to release an unfinished product full of tons of bugs, which they're famous for. We also do have some speculations though on where the game's going to take place, which is most likely going to be Hammerfall or High Rock, but of course there's no official confirmation, so we're going to have to kind of just wait and see. Game development has always been kind of a bumpy ride, and we have learned it the hard way with some of our favorite games getting delayed. The same things happen with Everwild. This is a brand new third-person adventure game that started development all the way back in 2014, only to get a reboot in 2021, but the development has since steadied and the devs are optimistic for a 2024 release, and thanks to the trailers out there, we do know that Everwild is going to take place in a fantastical world where humans and animals share a unique bond with nature and magic, and I think the art style itself is enough to really make this game stand out on our list of Xbox exclusives. Should be a good one when we hear more about this game. Now, Flight Simulator 2023 was a massive hit, but Microsoft is really ready to take things to a whole new level with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. We are talking more realistic graphic and world details, better flight experiences, improved weather systems, and a whole lot more. You will get your hands on brand new aircraft, from small private jets to massive commercial airliners to even helicopters, but the best part is that you'll be able to do stuff like air ambulance missions, search and rescue operations, cargo transportation, even air racing. So there's going to be a ton of new content that's really going to keep us hooked for a very long time. So Citizen Sleeper 2, the highly anticipated indie game sequel, is also making its way onto Xbox exclusives for another round of high-octane escapades. It puts you in the shoes of another rebel android with a dying body, trying to survive in a brutally merciless society, and your goal is to find a crew, repair and upgrade your ship, and get the heck away from this crumbling society. Again, we don't have a fixed release date for this one, but it is expected to drop sometime by the end of this year. So I have to say, Clockwork Revolution is a game that has me super excited and maybe like a little bit confused at the same time. It's a mind-bending FPS action game that puts you in control of a guy with a powerful device that lets him jump through the past, present, and future. And you can jump back in time, you can change things, and watch how it impacts the present or the future. It even features intense time-bending battles that require strategic thinking to beat your enemies and achieve your goal. And I really dig its vintage yet vibrant-looking Victorian-era metropolis that seems really filled with life. I think this game has potential to be a great Xbox exclusive, but you know, we're still trying to figure out fully what this can really be. So it's got a game with a ton of potential and one that I'm really excited for. Another game that's kind of surrounded by mystery is Contraband. We've only seen a short trailer that doesn't show any gameplay whatsoever, but according to what I've learned about this game so far, Contraband is going to be an open world co-op adventure that will have you and your friends pull off some epic heist and smuggling operations. And the game will take place in a fictional 1970s Southeast Asian region of Bayan, so definitely expect some old school combat with some classy old guns. Now, it doesn't have a fixed release date yet, but I'm hoping to get some news about this one later this year. So South of Midnight has many of us hooked with its unique atmospheric trailer that really set the stage for a dark adventure in a fictional world full of magic and strange creatures. In this game, you play as Hazel. This is a young woman with a unique magic that's, according to the devs, mends broken bonds and spirits, whatever that means. We still don't know much about the story except for the fact that it revolves around Hazel trying to learn more about her family and her past. But judging by the trailer, South of Midnight definitely looks great with its unique art style and characters. So the game OD, now this totally is a mysterious survival horror game that's supposed to blur the lines between reality and fiction, and how they're going to do that I'm not sure, but obviously if anyone can pull this off, it's going to be the famous and highly touted Hideo Kojima. And the truth is, this short trailer, it really only raises more questions than it actually answers. However, according to what we have learned about this game, OD is going to be a hyper-realistic horror gaming experience that will have you control multiple characters through a mysterious science facility with survival elements combined with cryptic puzzles. And it's going to feature Hollywood stars including Hunter Schafer from Euphoria and Suspiria star S.T.A.L.K.E.R. So I'm hoping to learn more about this game because I am a fan of Hideo Kojima, and I'm sure whatever he does, it's going to be a massive hit, especially as an exclusive for Xbox. If there's one thing on this list that we absolutely know nothing about except for the fact that it's going to be an Xbox exclusive, it's called Project Maverick, and it's coming from the creators of Outriders, Gears of War, and Bulletstorm. So there's a very good chance it's going to be great, but I guess we're going to have to wait a little longer to see our first look at this game. Harmonium The Musical is an upcoming narrative adventure game that promises a unique gameplay experience. Now in this game, you play as a young deaf girl who wants to become a musician and throw a grand concert for her friends and family. But in order to fulfill that dream, this little girl is going to need to defeat an evil boss called Cacophony. And what's more interesting is that the whole narrative is presented entirely through sign language, which makes the game accessible to a wider audience. We don't have a release date for this one, but it is expected to come out sometime later this year. Now, Routine was first announced all the way back in 2012, and it just went completely dark. After a decade though, Routine got re-announced in 2022 as this dark sci-fi horror game played from a first-person perspective, and you play as a space explorer stuck on what seems to be an abandoned lunar base. And while not much has been said about this game from the devs, the trailer does give off like these super creepy vibes with dreadful environments and evil robots that seem to be haunting this lunar base. Now, Routine doesn't have a release date, but it is expected to drop as an Xbox exclusive later this year or early 2025. Okay guys, so nobody is a bigger fan of the State of Decay franchise than me. I literally have a whole different channel dedicated to this game. Check that out, it's called Sunny Games. But State of Decay 3 is set to be one of the best post-apocalyptic survival games we have ever seen. Set to not only be in Unreal Engine 5 and have these awesome, cool, realistic looking graphics, but the game's gonna take the community aspect and the stories of each individual character in those communities and bump it to the next level. With a potential relationship system and digging deeper into each character's backstory, this game will make losing anyone permanently an absolute loss, and you're gonna feel that loss. This franchise has always had permadeath, and combining that with a better multiplayer experience coming to State of Decay 3, this is gonna be one of Microsoft's flagship exclusives of this generation. We still don't have a release date, but I personally am expecting this game to release in 2025. So Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 just launched, and it's received a ton of highly positive reviews from both gamers and critics. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but the game looks like it's pretty short, somewhere between 5 to 6 hours. And if you guys are looking for a new exclusive, this is a great game to dive into right now if you have Game Pass. So we've been going a little crazy over leaks that suggest a new Forza Horizon game might be coming out this year, and I know that sounds too good to be true, but seeing how Horizon games usually take around 3 years and Forza Horizon 4 was released in 2021, a 2024 release date might actually be pretty accurate. It's more than likely though that this new Forza game will take place in Tokyo, Japan, as these locations were part of the Forza pipeline, and as pointed out by data experts a few years back, I think it's going to be a great time to finally get the chance to drift around in a place that literally originated it. But go ahead though and take this all with a grain of salt, as nothing's just been confirmed yet, but either way we'll keep an eye out. Now our final game is a Call of Duty title called Black Ops Gulf War, and it's been a hot topic of discussion in the gaming community. We can really expect to see our first glimpses of this game at the upcoming Xbox showcase on June 9th. But from what I've gathered about this game, Call of Duty Black Ops Gulf War is going to be a little different from traditional COD games, shifting from a linear narrative to an open world campaign. But what's more exciting is that it will be available directly on Game Pass on day one. Now this might not be exclusive, good chance it isn't. It's probably going to be multi-platform, but it should hopefully be releasing on Xbox Game Pass, and I think that'll be huge guys, and I'm really much anticipating this. Speaking of huge, I have a list of the best Xbox Game Pass games you should check out this summer on the screen.